Well, moving on with the program, I would like to invite our 2020 Maine Mother of the Year up to speak for herself. Her name is Adrian Phair, and she's from Oakland. Thank you, Ann. You're welcome.
And thank you so much for letting me come up and congratulate you on your award. It is quite an honor. And I know mother to mother, sometimes it can be hard to have people pay attention to the work we do because we know that sometimes we're just doing it because it's what all we know. And I wish my mom was here so that I could not cry again. And just thank her again for being such a strong mother and an influence in my life. So she's also being honored today for she's retiring after being a nurse for like 40 years, and she's throwing a pitch out at the Sea Dogs meeting. So she's having her own. So that's really nice. Just a little bit about myself, just so you know a little bit about me. I'm a mom of two, a 15-year-old tomorrow girl, and another girl who's about to be 50. She knows everything, but she's actually really only 12. So we're having a big party tonight when I get home. Always entertaining, always having fun. Supported with everything I do by my husband, Patrick, who is an owner of a business in Belgrade called Lakeside Landscape. I grew up in Belfast, Maine, but I live in Oakland now. I went to the University of Southern Maine and graduated with a bachelor's in psychology. Kind of wish I knew about that scholarship. I feel like I would have been a good candidate for that back then. And when I graduated from school, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I just knew I wanted to help where I could. And having a bachelor's in psychology, I decided to go into social work. So I worked for the Department of Health and Human Services in Augusta, Maine, actually, for about 15 years doing child protective casework. And then that eventually led to me doing permanency and adoption as a supervisor. And I worked with Lena, which is where we met. It was there that I became involved in and committed to the nonprofit that I currently am the board president for. And I'll tell you about that in a second. I stopped working for the department because my husband's business required some extra help, and I saw the opportunity to have a little bit more time with my kids. And I just found out that really I'm just a glorified Uber driver right now. No, I'm a little bit more than that, but that's what I feel like right now. So I had more time on my hands, and I had been involved with this Camp to Belong, Maine, which is a nonprofit organization that I'm the board president for, and I'm also the camp director for. And just a little bit of history, because it's a nice opportunity to share what I'm so passionate about and maybe get one more person involved in it, is a camp that reunites siblings that are separated because of foster care. So that's either because they're placed into different homes or because they've been adopted into different homes or some other planned arrangement. Unfortunately, when you get more than one or two kids that need a placement, it can be really hard to find a place for all of them to go together. And if any of you have siblings, which most of us do, I think we can take for granted the idea of growing up and living with them and the relationship that you build with them without even realizing it, by learning what it's like to fight with somebody and then make up with them and, sneak into their room at night and, have confidences with them about things that you maybe don't tell your parents. And what they're doing is they're building this foundation to have support for each other, because that relationship is the longest relationship that most people have after your parents are no longer with you. You have your siblings, hopefully. And that's a really important part to having a healthy support system, which leads to getting you involved in the community and supporting your other community members. So when these siblings are separated, camp gives them the opportunity to reunify. And a woman named Lynn Price started the foundation a little over 25 years ago. She was a product of a sibling group that had been separated, and she didn't find out until she was older that she had a sibling, and then they kind of realized that they had missed out on that relationship. She became a very successful entrepreneur out west, and after that became a guardian at Lightem, which for those of you maybe who don't know, those are people that represent children in court situations once they come into the Department of Health and Human Services care. So they represent the interests of the child. And she came to find that there was a lot of siblings in that same kind of situation. So she formed this camp, and it became national because, or international, because there's one in Australia. And then kind of like the Maine Mothers chapter, there's a national organization, and we're all each state has their own Camp to Belong that they're under. So Camp to Belong Maine is their own division under the Camp to Belong International. Maine became aware of it because Lynn was honored by Oprah. She got the Use Your Life Award. She also got an award from one of the presidents. It loses me at the top of my head right now. But a youth saw it on TV and said, why don't we have something like this? So Maine started their own Camp to Belong about 16 years ago. We host our camp in Belgrade right now. It's called New England Golf and Tennis Camp. And it's volunteers. We rent that camp, and then we host a week where the kids reunite. Siblings all across the state of Maine are reunited with their siblings, where they get to do regular camp things, eat meals together, go fishing, swim, tubing, climb a wall, play catch, play volleyball, stuff like that. But then we also have special events that Lynn created, such as celebrating a big birthday party. So every sibling gets to celebrate their birthday together at camp, which is really a fun night, and a dance party. We do scrapbooking where there's a photographer all week, and they take pictures of the kids together, the siblings together all week. And then they get to put together a scrapbook on the last day and take that home with them. They do sibling pillows where they write messages to each other and they exchange those. We talk to the children and teach them about the Sibling Bill of Rights, which was established by a youth that was in foster care, about what their rights are as youth that are in care, how do they advocate for themselves, how do they maintain a relationship, how do they get back to the community when they get older. So that's kind of what camp is. And we're a nonprofit. We raise money all year long to host this camp. The Department of Health and Human Services also really supports this camp. We have a 5K coming up in Augusta in June. That's a big moneymaker for us. And it's a fun event because it gets awareness out also about the other services that are available for youth and families that are impacted or involved in foster care. So we have lots of other agencies like therapeutic foster care agencies, or Project Sparrow, which is an organization that donates supplies and funds to youth that come into care in the middle of the night, and a family that doesn't maybe have everything they need right then. So there's so many different resources out there, and we just use that as an opportunity, the 5K, to continue to bring awareness about the needs and what you can do to get involved. And then we run everything on volunteers. We have counselors that come to camp that volunteer a week of their time, and they come out and they spend a week with us, and we reunite these siblings, and it's pretty life-changing. A lot of the volunteers that I have come from the Department of Health and Human Services or other fields that kind of follow that same outreach and that same kind of message, and so a lot of people say it's a life-changing event for them. It reinvigorates the work that they're doing as a social worker in the community, supporting these families, reminding them, that even a lollipop moment almost, where you never really know how one little moment that you have is going to impact you years to come. And Camp to Belong has been running so long now that we have youth that used to come to the camp that have grown up and they now come back as volunteers. So it just really shows you how those small, a week of time in their life can change, something, 15, 20 years down the road. Yeah. And, like you said, Travis, and I think all of us probably share this, is we're very strongly connected to Maine and Maine's health and welfare and what's going to happen in the future. And, doing these little things to help Maine youth now, those are the things that are going to really shape the future for my children and for all the other children and the children to come. So that's what I do. So thank you for listening.